You know what's great about that reaction is the 2 split-second pause before the clap because you're like, oh, I gotta clap now. Like, that is insane. Thank you all. I am very curious. I have a very quick question. You guys worked on EverQuest. And I don't know how many people in the room go back that far in MMOs. I mean, there's a lot of us, right? What's it like to see this level of advancement in combat and speed and visceral experience for you guys as designers?
Sometimes back in the day, we never thought stuff like this was possible. Like in terms of, these are systems that we really can't touch because that's not what an MMO is, and this is not something that we can do technologically. Like it's too hard to have this kind of pace. So yeah, I mean, it's. I feel like we're breaking barriers with what we're doing right now.
It's great to not have sacred cows, right?
Yeah.
Like to just be able to play with things and see what feels good and go with what feels good rather than have conventions that we need to stick with.
Yeah, Akil just totally nailed it. And to go back even to conversation earlier, working with Steven, because of how Steven interacts with you guys in Discord at the owner, executive, all things level is so unusual. So the influence that the audience has with Steven as a fan first and a player, it's just different. So instead of Akil was saying with these white elephants, Steven is emotional about, since he's played games at 7 years old and the limits he wants to push. So even just for me, seeing the fidelity that you're able to do in Unreal Engine and the size of the worlds and the fact that and without naming certain EverQuest products,
Like EverQuest?
The one specifically, we never could get things like the Underrealm to work. So what stands out to, and I see you nodding your head, so what stands out to me is we couldn't get them to work at other places, but they're working now, right? So from a technological standpoint, what we're able to do in a very short amount of time using a really superior engine and giving these talented people the tools, it just changes everything.
Also keep in mind, all that stuff was live. That was all us playing.
It's recorded gameplay.
That was literally every single scene you saw there was recorded on Thursday.
Wow.
And then it was cut together yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday into the next
Intrepid speed.
Yeah. No, in truth, and I'll say this.
Are we done yet, Stephen?
It
No.
was Dropboxed, I think, at 2 in the morning this morning.
I got your text. I gotta. Seriously though, as fans, and I think this is true. Thank you for live gameplay, and not some crazy cinematic to try to sell us. I think we, as gamers, we know, right? We're not playing in a cinematic.
We all know.
That looks awesome, and the visual effects are just unbelievable. Make you feel epic, right? That's the new tagline. Nico. Make you feel epic.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. I mean, taking a little bit back for a second, the engine itself, I know there was a lot of flack we got early on about, Unreal's not a capable MMORPG engine, but the bottom line is it is. And
It is if you have the right engineers.
Absolutely. And the benefit of Unreal not only is epic support, but also the ability for our engineers to get into the source code of that and make what needs to work for our game work. That's why, talking a little bit about Phase 1. Let's go back to the timeline. Maybe we pull that timeline back up. So we'll give you a little details on Phase 1. The first it's not up here. Actually, the first thing should be the battlegrounds. So we have actually another announcement as well. We will begin testing for Phase 1, starting with a select number of Alpha 1 backers that we will randomly select and include. This is our stress test phase, and that will begin this week. So I just want you guys to know that, one, if you're not an Alpha 1 tester, make sure to give some big props to Alpha 1 testers because they're going to be going through some serious testing. And that serious testing might be sitting at the launcher, might be sitting at the lobby and waiting for a game for hours. And
we should put the windmill monster back in, just in case.
Windmill monster. We
Just
should
in
totally
case.
do a
We'll
windmill
upgrade
monster, yeah. Excuse me. But that testing, we're going to start stress testing the servers. We're going to get matchmaking up and running. We have some new UI that you just saw there a little bit. So we're able to bring this Alpha 1 testing to you guys early, a whole quarter than what we actually put in our roadmap early. Now, I don't know how many developments you guys follow from MMORPG's perspective, but the term early is very rarely heard. And one thing I love about this team and just the absolute speed, dedication, commitment, the veteran knowledge, experience that's on the team we've been able to pull together is what allows us to bring something early. And it feels good to actually make a commitment and arrive earlier than expected. And I hope it feels good for you guys too. So we have 3 different modes that will be present in Alpha 1 Phase 1. The first mode is going to be a Battlegrounds, a last man standing mode. And that's going to have 100 players on a map. It's going to have a lot of high octane energy and activity. It's going to be very streamable. It's going to be no NDA. There's going to be a lot of different weapons and skills that we're going to be testing. Each of the weapons and armor that you can find in the world are going to have unique spells and skills associated with them that interact with the terrain from a defensive standpoint, from a utility standpoint, from an offensive standpoint. It's going to be able for you to build buildings, complete structures, watchtowers, and defensive pillboxes type structures, arcane structures. You're going to have a lot of fun activity there. The second mode we will be implementing, is there a timeline on this one? Yeah, there we go. The testing for the Castle Siege mode will begin near the end of December. The Castle Siege mode is going to start with a 100 versus 100 player map. You're going to be defenders versus the attackers. You're going to have a large destructible castle. You're going to have siege weaponry that's deployable, can be piloted by the players. There will be a guild mode where you can queue into the matchmaking process with 20 total players. So you will have guild systems in place. Account management systems is completely revamped and will be launched, I believe, on October 5th, right?
October 5th is the plan currently,
The plan currently for our new account management system. You're going to see the ability to make friends, to create guilds there. You're going to have objective-based components to the Castle Siege system. Defenders will have key strategic objectives to maintain, and attackers will have destroy key strategic objectives to swing the battle in their favor. Additionally, you're going to have class kits. This is where we will introduce class kits into the system. So you're going to have the traditional Trinity type class kits that are going to be present, representing different skills that will be present eventually in the MMORPG. And then the other thing, the last mode that will be available, and you saw actually in this video for the first time, I think since we first even showed the monster coin system back over a year ago before Kickstarter, you saw players playing as monsters. In the Horde mode, you will be able to play on the Horde side as monsters, as well as defending a city with 50 cooperative players in the center of a city or castle against different waves of monsters, and then eventually bosses, where you'll begin to test boss mechanics. You'll have additional features that are going to be present, co-op objectives, waves being more difficult than the previous. You're going to have the boss mechanics and legendary creatures available, and merchant systems where you're going to collect the loot and goods from the waves that you destroy and then purchase and upgrade items and gear and whatnot for your character. So, you know, this phase was, as we said, added as a separate phase to Alpha 1, as a complementary bonus phase to Alpha 1. And the reason for that is because we had the ability to test systems that exist separate from the traditional persistent MMORPG server that has progression and levels and whatnot, because we really wanted to nail down the action side of things, and we could do so with testing our Castle Siege mechanics, testing our monster coin system, testing live account operations.
Yeah, it's basically just getting all the players into one spot so we can just iterate over and over and over again. All these matches are going to be generating lots of data for us, and we can use that data to really refine what we're doing when we get to Alpha 2.
Absolutely.
I also want to say we've been playing it every day in the office for like basically 3 months, and it's a lot of fun, right?
Yes.
Like you hear people yelling across the office at each other. We all know who the best players are and who to look out for. Yeah,
Wait,
Brian,
do we all know who?
Who's the best
we do.
player?
Oh, Eric, Ryan,
Oh, I thought I
McPhee.
was the best player. No, I'm just kidding.
top five. Steve.
Thank
Top
you,
five.
thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. What's great, and I have to iterate because we talked about this right before the panel. So most people out there on the show floor are going to be like, let's go create a game and make a battle royale game because there happens to be some popular ones right now, maybe, right? You guys said, let's take this mode, let's test it, and let's make it part of our MMO. But let's give it to our fans early so that they can actually use this and we can use the data, but they can have a good time where we're building out our full scoped world. And you say like 100 last man standing, total win, fantastic design, 100 versus 100 castle siege, I'm in. That goes back to my old school Dark Age of Camelot days. I want to be part of that fight, right? And then you go horde mode and go, wait, I can play a monster and defend this crazy place against a bunch of players and make their lives miserable? Awesome, I'm in on that. And I could do one of those any night I want. Like it's not, but the beauty of your product, and this is where I think really Intrepid is going to really truly break the ground, is that that's all going to be one game as an MMO. And I think that's the part that we all love as MMO players.
Well,
I mean, the way that
there's more actually, though. We didn't say. So the more side of that thing is, so each of these modes in Alpha 1 Phase 1, right? Oh, did we bring up the Phase 2? I'm sorry, before we get into the Phase 1 different aspects, let's bring up the timeline, the next one. There should be one more.
There we go.
There we go.
Alpha,
Okay, so Alpha 1 Phase 2. So Phase 2 begins in the beginning of second quarter of next year. And Phase 2 is the more traditional alpha that everyone signed up for, Alpha 1. That is going to be where we integrate action combat into the tab-targeted systems. You'll have progression to level 20. Nodes will be fully featured and progress to Stage 3. Stage 3 is when most of the systems come online for node development. That's where you can declare citizenship. That's where player government happens. That's where building of housing and freeholds become a thing. We have 4 out of our 9 races will be available. All 8 base class archetypes will be available. We will have a character creation suite that will be implemented. Actually, the character creation suite we're hoping to implement in Phase 1 of Alpha 1. 25% of the total world space will be implemented and playable, so that's roughly 120 square kilometers. That is a significant size of a world. And then we will have 2 to 3 servers that are available. We have just under 10,000 testers for Alpha 1. And then Alpha 2 testing will begin in the beginning of third quarter of next year. Alpha 2 we'll have more details on that, but it's going to be a much closer to complete situation for the MMO. Now here's the exciting news for Alpha 1 Phase 1. Because this was a bonus phase, what we're going to be doing is, with these 3 modes of gameplay in Alpha 1 Phase 1, there will be roughly a little bit of over a month testing period where Alpha 1 testers will test each mode, and then we will open up the Phase 1 to every registered account on Ashes of Creation. We hope to see over... Thank you. So our Alpha 1 testers are going to be testing each of these phases. They'll have roughly about 4 months worth of pre-testing time where it's just Alpha 1 testers, and then we want to hit those servers as hard as we can with as many possible people as we can, because we know that Ashes of Creation as an MMORPG is going to be one of the largest MMORPGs that is ever going to be launched. We have a lot of pre-signed up people, more so when you compare to other products that have launched in the past. The sheer support for a subscription-based, non-pay-to-win MMORPG is huge. And we are really excited about that because this is the direction we feel that the genre should be moving in. And I think we've turned some heads for some notable companies, some large publishers, towards this direction, away from a free-to-play, pay-to-win, cash grab model. And that was our objective ever from the beginning, was to really show that the community has been shrinking because we've had these types of games rammed down our throats, and that's not what people want.
It's not that MMOs are dying; it's that the monetization scheme is dying.
Absolutely, it is dead. So we're excited about that. Now, here's the cool thing: we will be implementing in Alpha 1, Phase 1, character creation suite and housing suite as well, where you'll be able to earn in the phase 1, the matchmaking system. You'll be able to earn cosmetics. You'll be able to share everything you earn there in the MMORPG when it launches, and the arena system will persist post-launch as well. So this will be an all-action-based arena that exists side by side with Ashes of Creation as a mode that players will get to play in and earn unique cosmetics in, and they'll be able to build a home starting in phase 1 as well. That'll probably come in the Horde mode stage, near the end of the Horde mode
Likely,
stage, the
yeah.
housing and the character creation suite. You'll be able to build a character, you'll be able to save that character and use that character for the MMORPG, and you'll be able to set your furniture and housing condition in the phase 1.
Yep.
So
That
we're pretty
was fast,
excited
but
about
you guys
that.
get all that? Like, you realize where we're going.
That was a lot of
right?
words.
That's a lot of words.
That was really good, Stephen, by the way. So, I mean, at the end of the day, the action combat video just surmises what we're all hoping for. You're adding in a great mode in the arena mode that's going to allow all of us to have a great time, and then we're building out an amazing world that we're all going to be able to share. And thank you for being a fan first and a designer later. No offense to the designers in the room.
Hey.
But it's true, and to kind of touch on, you made a point earlier when you're a kid and you see something, playing any game or watching a movie, you want to be that. And you're like, why do I have to be this? Why can't I be Darth Maul? Right? Why can't I be Darth Vader? Why do I have to be Luke Skywalker? And I think that's the part of how you put these things into games. Was that funny?
I'm sorry, I'm a Star Trek fan.
All right, wait, we can do that. We can do that.
Wars.
We got Star Wars fan.
This is our big thing. This is our big
Hang on a
thing.
minute.
We have this huge.
Why
I
can't
think on Halloween he came with a lightsaber and I gave him a comm badge.
Yeah, why can't I be
I
a
love your Star
Romulan?
Wars
Come
references.
on,
Thank you.
like-
No, you're doing good.
There are
Keep
4
going.
lights in the back of the room, Steven.
There are four lights.
lights.
There are 4 lights.
There are 4 lights.
But it's true. You see these amazing creations, and you want to play them. And I think I think that's the best part of Ashes, is that you're building a game with that philosophy at its core. So, geez, you got a lot.
This
on
is
the
this
roadmap.
is my dream come true, and my endeavor is to make sure that it's your guys' dreams come true as well.
awesome. Awesome. Do we even have time for questions?
We really don't. We have like
We have 3 minutes.
Do we? Yeah, we could maybe take just maybe 2 questions.
2 questions. If somebody, there's a microphone
If
right
we have
there. I
any
think it works.
super pressing questions, first to the mic.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, Steven.
Hello, friend.
I think you know who I am.
Yes,
Maybe.
Zeke.
It's Zeke, but I can buy you a pronunciation book, maybe down the street. My guildies want to know, let's see. How will rating be balanced around both action combat and tab target without making one superior to the other?
Oh, good question. Good question.
It's a great question. And, to preface that before I hand it off to Jeff and Akil, is that balance, I mean, us as gamers, we know that balance is probably the most difficult design aspect, right? I mean,
especially for an MMO because it's so big.
right, because there's so many players, there's so many different permeations of class combinations that can be present, especially when you're involving, skill tree that players can spec into individually and make combos that try to break the system or whatever this deal may be. But the short answer of your question is testing. The short answer is testing. We have a lot of testing phases. The reason why phase 1 will be moved into from Alpha 1 testers to opening up to everyone that's registered right now is because we want to see every possible combination of skill from an action standpoint. And then the reason why we have now over 40,000 people who are signed up for alphas and betas is because we want that testing phase to give us a lot of data. And with that data is what we use to balance, right? I mean, we set the stage first, but
Right.
The even shorter answer, it'll be perfectly balanced first time out.
I love Akil's
here.
confidence.
Yeah.
No bugs.
So what
No
what
bugs.
we hope is to build lots of knobs into the system, right? Like lots of places where we can tune and balance it and figure out kind of where the right thing is, because obviously that's a hard thing, right? Is to make sure that someone who can dodge doesn't have too much of an advantage over someone who can tab target them, right? And it is not something that we think is going to be easy, but we need to have people in there. We need to have people testing it, and we need to get it wrong, right? And then we'll find out how to get it right. So we don't have a great answer because we haven't found that answer yet. And
Right.
we'll find
And
them in playtesting.
The way we approach it is it's basically two different philosophies. One is like a slower, tactical way of fighting, and the other one is kind of like a more frenetic, strategic way of fighting, right? And so we're trying to give like roles to both in order to make that make more sense, right? Where you might bring somebody who is purely tab targeting and somebody who is purely action-based, and they fill a role with that. So that's kind of how we're approaching it philosophically. But of course, like when the rubber hits the road, everything's going to change and explode. So that's what we're prepared for, and that's what we're planning for.
Yeah.
All right, you ready? I'm going to switch right now. Warp drive question. Go ahead, real fast.
Hey,
Engage.
How in depth do you plan on having the character creator in terms of like character templates, like just faces, or are you going to be able to fully mold the face like it's clay or something?
So
like that?
there's a few things. One, well, actually, Matt, why don't you grab that? This is character creation. How intense is it going to be?
Without a doubt. I mean, and I'll be real quick, but basically from facial feature, customization, hair color design, facial hair, right? Because we have dwarves, orcs, Tolnar, and a lot coming. So we have to go from pedestrial to bestial, all of it.
It's
All
going to
of
be
it.
very in depth. I mean, yeah.
We'll probably have presets for everybody just to make it easy to get in the game, but you'll have all the knobs and dials that
Yeah.
you probably expect and then some.
I mean, it's just if you look at the number of modular pieces on a character, like we were talking about earlier, the number of pieces that are built, that lends itself to hair, region of the face, super complex. Super complex. Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
we're out of
guys,
time.
I mean, are you want to be around for a little
Oh,
bit
we're going to be
outside?
around afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
By the way,
We'll be
I'm
hanging out.
sorry.
Yeah,
Hold on.
tonight.
Everybody, we have a, gosh, there's so many things. We have a party tonight at the Hilton. It's at the top of the Hilton, starting at 7 o'clock. There's going to be drinks and appetizers. You can come. We're all going to be there. We can ask as many questions as you want. We also have a gift to everybody who attended our panel today. You will all be getting the PAX package cosmetic. So that's a mount, that's a cloak, and it's a statue for PAX. And then the last thing I want to do is thank everybody, honestly, not just here at this panel, but also everybody watching from the stream, everybody who's been a part of our community for the past year, who has been following development, who's been giving us feedback, who's been on Discord, on our forums, who has been supporting this project. You know, I know that the community out there for new MMORPGs can be a dangerous one with as many lasting as long as they have in development, and we recognize that, which is why we want to be as in touch with you as possible, which is why we want to be here at these events. We want to talk to you on Discord. We want to get your feedback, and we appreciate you guys supporting us, because this is why we're doing it. Not just a love of the genre, but a love of the people in the genre. We all share a common passion for gaming, for building communities, for conflict, for cooperation, for things that make this such an awesome and unique genre. And we couldn't do this without you. We thank you guys, all of you.
Thanks, everybody.